Late last night, the Dodgers organization was shaken to its core. Manager Dave Roberts stepped in front of the cameras well past midnight and dropped what can only be described as a bombshell announcement that nobody in baseball saw coming. Rushing and Smith, two names that have been part of this roster's identity, have been banned for life, effective immediately, starting this very season. And as if that wasn't enough to process, Roberts confirmed in the same breath that Ben Rothbett is officially being re-signed. The locker room, the fanbase, the entire baseball world is still trying to make sense of what just happened. What is your initial reaction to everything that came out last night? Honestly, when I first heard this, I had to read it twice. A lifetime ban is not something you see announced at midnight. That's the kind of news organizations bury, not broadcast. The fact that Roberts chose to make this public himself, at that hour, tells you everything about the seriousness of what happened behind closed doors. This wasn't a front office decision that filtered down. This came from the manager directly, which means whatever Rushing and Smith did, it crossed a line that even the organization's leadership couldn't look the other way on. And then to pair that announcement with the re-signing of Rothbett? That's a message. Roberts is reshaping this roster's character in real time, and he's doing it loudly and deliberately. What makes this even more striking is the timing. We're not in the off-season. We're not at a natural roster reset point. This is happening mid-season, while the Dodgers are still in the thick of a pennant race. So what does a move like this do to the chemistry of a clubhouse that was supposed to be pushing toward October? That's the real question, isn't it? Because banning two players for life doesn't just remove bodies from the roster. It sends a signal to every single player still in that locker room. It says the rules are real. It says no contract, no reputation, and no past contribution protects you if you cross the line. For the players who remain, that message lands hard. Some of them will feel unsettled. Others will respect it. But nobody in that clubhouse is taking today lightly. The Rothbett re-signing is interesting precisely because of this context. Bringing him back right now isn't just about filling a roster spot. It's about bringing in someone whose character Roberts trusts. That's a very deliberate counter-message to what just happened with Rushing and Smith. Now let's talk about what's happening on the medical front, because this story doesn't stop with the bans. Reports have confirmed that both Tucker and Rushing have been hospitalized. Two players, hospitalized, on the same night that these announcements are being made. What do we actually know about their conditions, and how serious is this? The information coming out right now is still limited, but what we do know is deeply concerning. Tucker's hospitalization appears to be connected to something that emerged from his detailed physical examination, and the early reports suggest the results genuinely shocked people inside the organization. This was not a minor finding. When an organization of the Dodgers' resources and medical depth is caught off guard by examination results, you have to take that seriously. Tucker is not a young player with endless runway. He is a cornerstone of this offense, and any health uncertainty around him changes the calculus of everything the Dodgers are planning for the second half of this season and beyond. Rushing's hospitalization adds another layer of complexity to all of this. He was just banned for life, and yet he is simultaneously receiving medical attention. That tells you this situation is far more complicated than a simple disciplinary matter. There are human dimensions to this story that we don't fully understand yet, and I think it's important to acknowledge that even while processing the organizational impact. And then there is Ohtani. When the results of his detailed examination came back, the reports say he was shocked. Shohei Ohtani, a man who approaches every physical challenge with almost robotic calm and discipline, was visibly shaken by what he saw. What could those results possibly mean for his season? That reaction from Ohtani is what concerns me the most out of everything we've heard tonight. Because Ohtani does not rattle easily. This is a man who has reconstructed his entire pitching identity after Tommy John surgery and come back better than before. This is someone who has played through fatigue and discomfort at a two-way workload that no human being in the history of professional baseball has ever sustained. For something in his examination results to genuinely shock him, that is not a small thing. We don't know yet whether this is a structural concern, a fatigue-related finding, or something else entirely. But the reaction itself is data. And that data is alarming. From a performance standpoint, consider what is at stake. Ohtani is currently running an ERA in the 0.74 range. He is in the middle of what could be a historic season, simultaneously chasing Cy Young consideration as a pitcher and MVP dominance as a hitter. Any disruption to his physical status doesn't just affect the Dodgers' rotation. It affects the entire landscape of the NL West race and the award conversations that have been building all season. If these examination results require any kind of adjustment to his schedule or workload, the ripple effects will be enormous. Now let's address the GM's statement, because this is something that cannot be glossed over. The general manager has officially stated that Tucker's salary will be reduced. In the middle of a hospitalization. In the middle of a medical scare. The organization is already moving to restructure his financial standing. What does that tell you about how the front office views Tucker's situation going forward? It tells you the front office has information that the public doesn't have yet. Teams do not move to reduce a player's salary while he is in the hospital unless they have serious concerns about his ability to perform at the level his contract reflects. This is a cold, calculated decision, and it comes directly from the GM's office, not from Roberts. That distinction matters. Roberts is managing the character and culture of the clubhouse. The GM is managing the financial and competitive future of the franchise. The fact that both are making major moves simultaneously, on the same night, suggests this organization is in a moment of significant internal restructuring. For Tucker personally, this has to feel like a deeply difficult moment. He is dealing with a health situation serious enough to require hospitalization, and simultaneously his employer is publicly signaling that his contract value is being reassessed. That is an enormous amount of pressure for any human being to process, regardless of their professional stature. What does all of this mean for the Dodgers as a team going forward? Because when you strip away the individual stories, what you have is an organization that lost 2 players to lifetime bans, has 2 players hospitalized, is re-signing a veteran for culture reasons, and is restructuring the salary of a cornerstone hitter, all in one night. That is not a normal 24-hour period for any franchise. It is absolutely not normal. And I think the way the Dodgers respond to this over the next 2 to 3 weeks will define their season. The talent on this roster remains elite. Ohtani, when healthy, is the most valuable player in the game. The rotation has depth. The lineup has options. But moments like these test the mental and emotional fabric of a clubhouse in ways that statistics simply cannot measure. Roberts made his announcement at midnight because he wanted to get ahead of this story. He wanted to control the narrative before it controlled him. Whether that strategy works depends entirely on how the players still in that locker room respond when they show up tomorrow morning. Right now, every answer is incomplete. Tucker's health outlook is unclear. Ohtani's examination results are still being processed. The full details of what Rushing and Smith did to earn lifetime bans have not been disclosed. Rothbett's exact role on this roster is still being defined. But what is absolutely clear is that the Dodgers are in the middle of something much bigger than a baseball story. This is an organizational moment. And how they handle it will be remembered long after the final scores of this season are forgotten.